Okay, Mr. Wu, what do we got here?
We got a sampling of Minolta rangefinder cameras. Over the years, they make a whole series of rangefinder cameras. This is just a sampling. This series, the A series, is the early ones. So they have this first A2 in 1956, the year that I was born. So Art Deco style, trapezium shape, metal body, couple rangefinder, got aperture, got shutter speed. So it's a completely adjustable camera, no light meter. The quirky part of this camera is that the shutter speed dial is on top here. Normally it's on the lens barrel, but somehow it's here, so you can put 1/400 up to 1 second and B. So this camera use what we call behind the lens shutter. So the shutter is not inside the lens element, but it's right at the end, at the rear end, so behind the lens shutter. But it's still a leaf shutter, still a central shutter, so it will sync for flash at all the speeds. So you have the same traditional layout: film, take-up spool, pressure plate. You got a full frame film format. So this is just a single purpose rewind knob. So you pull it out to wind, to rewind. There's nothing else. You have a cold shoe for your viewfinder, for your flash unit. So you peep through here. So you focus the rangefinder patch, double image, put it together. Then you dial in the shutter speed, and you can select your aperture. You select your aperture here, yeah, from 2.8 to 22. There's one mark in a circle, 11. That is the hyperfocal distance. So there's on the focusing scale, there's 115. You put it here, 15, and you put it to 18. That is a hyperfocus distance. It's a 4-point and shoot. Here is a very odd filter size, 34 mm. Screw in 34 mm. So he has all the old Minolta name, Chiyoko, Rocco lens. So it has self timer. So it's a solid camera. No plastic. Everything you need is there. Then from this one, they improve. They have the A5. A5 is special. This one has a 1000 shutter speed leaf shutter. You seldom find a compact camera with 1000. The other one I know 1000 was the Crown Graphic. Crown Graphic got one lens that can also shoot 1000 with the leaf shutter. So 1000. Then it goes down to 1 second and B. Then you got the aperture. And they have this light value scale. So this model didn't have the light meter. So you use a handheld meter, you take the number, and then you transfer the number here. So focusing by rangefinder, couple rangefinder, viewfinder, frame counter on top, which is not automatic. You have to set it when you load the new film. The rest are quite standard. Same layout, your film, take-up spool, your film gate, pressure plate. Then this is a conversion scale from ISO and DIN. Rewind knob and so on. This all very standard. But this filter is more common, 40.5. So 40.5. 45, 2.8 lens, Rocco lens. So of course it has a self timer, and you can choose the sync from M for flash bulb and X for electronic flash and a self timer. So this is an improvement over this shutter speed range. There is one I don't have. It's called the V2. Shutter speed 2000 on the leaf shutter. So I'm eyeing one. Maybe I can get it quite soon. I don't know. So this one. But later on, this series is very well known. Hi-Matic series. This is the first of the Hi-Matic. Hi-Matic 7S. They got Hi-Matic 7S2. They got the Hi-Matic 9 and so on. This Hi-Matic, by then, they already have a metering. So their light meter is very unique. They use a battery and they got a CDS cell here. So this one is put near the lens. So when you put in the filter, it automatically compensates for the filter factor. Now in the advertising brochure for this camera, they show a picture of this camera with a stack of transparency slides. You know, slides, you got to meter it very accurate. You cannot miss one or two stops and then the picture will be bad. Either too black or nothing. So they took this camera with a stack of slides, telling you that the metering in this camera is very accurate, can take slides with it. So this one, they are using the same system, CLC here, as the SLR version. They have the Minolta SRT 101. So they have the CLC metering system. They call it the contrast light compensator. This is the precursor of the modern matrix metering. So what you do when you hold this camera horizontally, there are two metering done. One is on the foreground and one is on the high end. And they measure the difference and they do a compensation. So they won't let the bright sky influence the light reading. So they compensate for you. So you get, most of the time, very good exposure, accurate exposure. Of course, the camera has grown big over the year. So you have your focusing, your rangefinder, your viewfinder frame. Now you got a hot shoe contact for flash. You don't need the cable. But if you have a cable flash, you can plug it here. Then this one has a few automation. You have turned the aperture ring to A, and you turn the shutter speed, the A, double A. Shutter speed and aperture A, that is programmed. So the camera will decide for you their shutter speed and aperture combination. Or if you like, you can choose the shutter speed to use. You can choose your own shutter speed, select the shutter speed. You leave the aperture on A, so it's on shutter priority. So the camera will choose the best aperture to match the shutter speed. Or if you like, you can do full manual. So you do both speed and aperture on your own. So this is the Minolta Hi-Matic. The first of the Hi-Matic. Then later on they have many versions. So here you got a film load indicator. If you have wound the film, with the film inside there's a little flag. So you show that you're wound, ready to shoot. Then you take your picture. Of course you got your self timer. So this is a strong, well-built camera. Except for the slow speed, they kept it at 1/4. That doesn't go all the way to 1 second, up to 1/4. It's good enough. So this is Hi-Matic from Minolta. So you got the 3 to represent that generation. They made many, several of them. Minolta.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Wu. Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, next one.